The pastor that say comedy in church is bad is very correct. Then he now asked me, what of the ones, are you now saying the ones that accepts comedy in church, they are wrong? I said, they are right too. And they are very right too. They are very correct. I said, you see, this thing about spiritual understanding is in levels. It's in levels. He is speaking from the level of his own understanding. And the ones that accept it, they accept it from the level of their own understanding. I was a guest in a radio program, and then the topic for discussion was comedy in church. Comedy in church. Okay, while I was yet to be keyed in, it was a phone-in program. So there was this pastor that had called in from Equa Church, precisely, and he was condemning comedy in church. The guy was so serious about it. The zeal was so fireful. If you hear the way he spoke over the phone, man, you would think that is the only way out. So when he was done talking, by the grace of God, I was keyed in immediately after his call. He was the last caller before I was keyed in. And when I was keyed in, that was the thing the interviewer or the radio program host started with. He said you heard the last caller. He said comedy in church is bad. Meanwhile, he had introduced me as a gospel comedian. I first of all told him I'm not a gospel comedian, but let us deal with this one first. He said, what have you to say about the man that just called? And while the man was talking, he mentioned churches that accepted comedy. He mentioned Living Faith, mentioned this, mentioned that, mentioned Dunamis, that they accepted church is wrong, the accepted comedy in church is wrong. When I came up and when the guy asked me that question, what is my take on that? I said, the man is correct. Yes. The pastor that say comedy in church is bad is very correct. Then he now asked me, what of the ones, are you now saying the ones that accepts comedy in church, they are wrong? I said, they are right too. And they are very right too. They are very correct. I said, you see, this thing about spiritual understanding is in levels. It's in levels. He is speaking from the level of his own understanding. And the ones that accept it, they accept it from the level of their own understanding. He is condemning it from the level of his own understanding. Trust me, if you want to force comedy on that kind of man in church, you might aid him to go to hell. Because anytime they are doing that, his spirit will be troubled. And if you want to come and tell this one that comedy is bad, you might aid him to go to hell. Because if you with joy shall you draw from the well of salvation. And this one believe you don't need comedy to activate that joy, whatever. Now, I now cited an instance to him that backs up my claim to say the both of them are correct. At a point in the wilderness, when Joshua and Moses left the camp of the Israelites in the wilderness and went up the mountain, that was when Moses and Aaron took time there, and the people now felt Moses had abandoned them. They went to, Moses and Joshua were the one on the mountain. Aaron was with them. And I now went to Aaron and said, why would we be here? We've not heard from Moses. Make for us a God. And then the pressure was much on Aaron. Aaron called on the people to bring out their jewelries. Liberally they gave. Is it not what they wanted? And he carved an image and they started worshiping. The noise of the worship got up the mountain. Now Joshua heard the noise. Moses heard the noise. But there was confliction now. The same noise, Joshua heard the noise of war. He said there's a noise in the camp and it's like the noise of war. The same noise that Joshua heard war, Moses heard, no, it is not the sound of war. The sound I hear is like the sound of rejoicing. One sound, two people from different spiritual level understood it differently. One comedy, two different pastors are permitted to interpret it differently. That was my take on that